Well, hey everybody. Emily and I are back with some uh a few more questions that are very legitimate and I got these from a group and it it is a very um I feel like this is like in everybody's minds, but nobody like everybody that's a great question. How do you do this? And it seems like it is a big question.
hmm
Um, and so, Emily, I'm having trouble connecting words today.
Okay. All right. I can feel that.
Um, so with any of your experience, personal and professional, how would
hmm
you, how would you answer this? How
The
would you,
the downward spiral.
yeah,
I think it's a great one. Um, I went a few different directions when you brought this up as something that we could talk about today.
yeah,
And I think one of the parts is even just acknowledging, like, as you said, like people say it's a great question, but like, what is a downward spiral? And noticing
ooh,
that all of us can feel it differently. And then in all different places, whether that's like professionally, personally, even in like your own little monkey brain, might feel it differently.
yeah,
And so just understanding or creating kind of a definition for yourself of what that looks like so that way you can then notice and acknowledge when it's happening. That is kind of my biggest one is you can't stop something or change something if you don't even know what the heck's happening. I don't know if you can relate to that, Lauren, but like
uh-huh,
if you're feeling your feels and you don't know what you're feeling or you don't know what it is, you can't disrupt or change it.
yes. And honestly, like this used to be a big question in my mind. And so, about a month ago, maybe a little over, I actually personally started somatic therapy
hmm
because I had been through talk therapy a couple of different times, and I had talked with a friend, and she was like, "Hey, I think, like, based on just some conversations with you, I think this would like be really good for you." And I was like, "Okay, sure, why not? Well, try anything at this point," because I was physically at a place where I'm like, okay, here's what I'm feeling,
hmm
but I feel like I'm working through it, but my body doesn't feel like it's working through it. I'm still finding this. And it was that piece of like, at first, I didn't like the phrase my husband used to tell me, well, he kind of still does a little bit, um, like, you're stressing out about stressing out. And at first I was like, no, I'm not. That doesn't help me. But then I thought about it and I'm like, no, but that's like on point. And I was stressing out about why I was feeling the
hmm
stress. And I'm like, okay, I'm working through all of the mental pieces of that, but my body has not figured out how to break that cycle of the physical
hmm
reaction.
hmm
And so that has been a big, big piece for me lately is combining those two
Okay.
of A, um, understanding and recognizing when you're like when something is happening, how does your mind and body work together to give you
hmm
that data, to give you that signal of that kind of downward spiral? And so that was a really big piece of me for like, okay, point A. I know this is happening. So now
hmm
how do I find my way out of that? And so the second piece of that would then be, okay, we've got the data. We've got Here's what our body is doing, right?
Hmm.
Here's what our mind is doing to cause our body to do that.
Hmm.
And then she said, okay, now we've got the data, but overanalyzing it is just kind of analysis paralysis a little bit.
Yep, can be
And
really
so,
unhelpful.
like, okay, how do we then almost give voice to um, what our body is doing and what we are doing to get our body and our mind out of that place and
Hmm.
beginning to recognize those signals and training our mind body to then say, here's what the regulation piece feels like, and um, helping your body to start recognizing that more. And the kicker for me to that was she goes, okay, well, she goes, the crappy part of this is it may just feel less bad. I didn't really like that answer. I don't want it to just feel less bad. I want it to feel a lot better. But
Got it.
you got to start somewhere.
Totally. So
Yeah.
as you're saying, like noticing in your body, I think you're also trying to say like what maybe is happening in my mind, but like how do I not then like just sit in that stuck space? And so is that kind of right?
Yeah. And sitting, and that's kind of I don't really know how to describe that for me as well right now because um like there's a lot of different pieces to what causes the crisis mode in the body, what causes all these different
Mhm.
modes. And uh and not even like going into fix it mode, but really just being aware of
Yep.
what those modes are so that um you can almost kind of anticipate it a little bit more or build that recognition piece
Hmm.
for your body to be like, oh, okay, like I'm sitting at my desk. I'm not actively like being chased by a pack of wolves off of a
Yep.
cliff, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. So I think for kind of then that other part, like acknowledging that awareness, but then kind of the spaces of how do we get out of it? One way analytically that I notice helps me is even just doing a brain dump. So
Hmm.
it's not about fixing, it's not about trying to organize. It can literally be a post-it note that I just like, I keep right by me, and I might just
Yeah.
like fill it up
Yes.
because it really helps me when I notice myself spiraling
Yep.
to just get it out.
Yeah.
Um, I also noticed, like going back to your body, a big one for me is also just opposite action. So maybe I need to get up and move. Maybe I need to take a stretch break. Maybe I
Yep.
need to drink some water.
Yep.
Not that I'm fixing, I'm just disrupting
Ooh, I love that.
the spiral. Um,
Yeah. Breaking
so
that cycle.
yeah, yeah.
And that's on point. And like you have your stickies. I carry my little tiny notebook with me everywhere.
Hmm.
And I honestly purposely get it in a size that will fit in my purse so
Yeah,
that no matter where I am, whether it be, restaurant, waiting room, whatever, like it's there in case I need to, sit at a stoplight or pull over in a parking lot and be like, what will not leave my head?
yep,
Right? Um,
100%.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's interesting. Okay. There we go. All right. Next question. How have you focused on your strengths over the years to really excel in your business?
Where did that question come from, Lauren?
It was um a Facebook support for women, and
Love
it was
that.
just like it was all brands, all everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but some entrepreneurs, but I think if I remember correctly, it stemmed from um, a place of being misunderstood, and so generally in society, it seems like ADHD or just any scale of neurodivergent traits are looked at as such a weakness
Right.
when a lot of them, like, yeah, okay, some of them aren't easy and some of them um, leave us on the struggle bus. But how do you put the focus of your attention on strengths to then, um, get that momentum in
Totally.
business? Um, but what are your thoughts on this?
Um, it, I love I love this because I think looking at it from that positive perspective, um, we get to even acknowledge the parts of us that do put us in the struggle bus can also be the parts that then we get to make change. So as a therapist, I would never have gone into this profession had I not had a lot of my own struggles, which then helped me to better understand others, that helped
Mm,
me to better understand myself, as as well as even then getting to see my clients, like noticing the ways that they themselves are like, yeah, this is where I excel. And so then we talk about how do we make that into a hobby, or how do we make that into a career, or how do we celebrate and get to bring those moments of joy. So it's like very meta for me of like my own my own strengths are what I do, and I get the privilege of helping others identify their strengths, which then makes them refer me as a therapist, which then grows my business. So it's like it's a whole
yeah,
community or cycle.
yeah.
Yeah, but leaning in and accepting that all of those struggles are what got me here today. And that's now my strength.
I would agree. And one thing I think for me that I have really, really learned, especially in the past year, I'd say, um, is a common thing that I like is always I won't even call it excuse, but context more of for me is
Mhm.
like I am so busy. And yes, yes to all of it. Um, Neurodivergent people, ADHD people are, um, it is a very common thing for us to overfill our plates because all the things are fun and we want to do it all, which is not bad-ish, unless it puts you in overwhelm mode, where it's a whole different thing. Um, but I have learned that like when I used to do that, I'm like, but I don't have time to do anything that I want. Also, I'm caring for all these other people in my life. And one thing I have, again, learned, I think I've said that like 6 times now, um, life and things will always happen and will always be there.
Mhm.
And it is up to me to intentionally schedule things in to my everyday that bring me the joy that you were talking about. Um, And it doesn't have to be like a whole bunch. It can just be pockets of time, like for instance, this. Um, but finding the time daily to do something that brings you joy and really kind of lean into those strengths so that you're doing those and you're getting to, have that be a part of your everyday rather than just, white knuckling it through the day and be like, when the
Yeah.
heck am I going to do something for me? Um, so an aspect of business is, what do you feel like you are really good at? One of the maybe the reason you got into business with that you love doing, and how do you use that to then help you like excel and um and then I think honestly doing things like this with us, find people that you connect with
Hmm.
and partner, um, you know, expand the network.
Yeah.
And like I don't know. I like to make things really hard. Not something I consider a strength, but something that I do. But like it doesn't have to be that hard. It just like inching forward. Um, but yeah, I think using the strengths and finding intentional time to get them in your day and to get stronger in them, or um, finding a new strength and polishing that too.
Hmm. Yeah. And similar, like just saying again, a strength is like a muscle and you have to work
Yeah.
it. And so I think sometimes knowing that like excelling or growing in a business can also be uncomfortable, and that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that's bad. And I
Yeah.
think that's because, again, just like when we're strengthening a muscle or we're like working on something, we're going to feel sore. We're going to
Let's
feel
say you're
uncomfortable.
tearing muscle there to build new.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And um, I think that's such a good metaphor for like so many different things, and to know that like expect the uncomfort because
Hmm.
like otherwise I feel like I'd back down from a lot of things if I
Hmm.
wasn't willing to, feel that discomfort a little bit or a lot of it depending
Totally.
on the day.
Yeah.
Um, okay, last one. What types of tasks have you outsourced? Because that's not really how your brain works.
Do you want to start? I know you have a ton of different tools that you use.
Um, Let me first say that
Okay.
I I have a ton of tools because I have tried out so many that have not worked, and I'm just like, throw that out the window, let's shove that off the desk, next. And then I have
Hmm.
just like, because of that, found what does work. But that is very much the like old idea of should I tell you how many things I've tried before I found the one that fit where I needed it to. Um, so let's see, what types of tasks? Oh, I would say scheduling. Um, and I don't necessarily know that I I don't know. So let me also say that outsource to me includes technology and integrating that. It doesn't necessarily mean another person.
Yeah.
Especially if you're on a budget and you're like, I don't have the funds to outsource. Um, I think. I've done a lot of like I've integrated a lot of technology, um, email with my to-do lists and reminders,
Hmm.
um, as well as honestly, like I have a lot of spreadsheets, but I really don't like spreadsheets. Like really don't. You show me a spreadsheet and start talking to me about data, my eyes glaze over so fast and I stopped listening 10 minutes ago. Um, but for things and organizing, you know, maybe client lists or product things,
Hmm.
anything like that, sometimes those things are necessary. And um, I've also had I've had my husband teach me how to do things because he is phenomenal at that stuff and he can do it so much faster. And I'm like, okay, um, can you show me how to do this? Or like, can you explain something? Or I will use him as a huge resource because I'm like, okay, like he's so much better at some of these things. And because he thinks differently than I do.
Yes. So I think like when I thought of this question about outsourcing, one of the things I go back to is allowing myself to say I'm choosing to not be an expert
Oh, yeah.
versus judging myself.
Yeah.
So I'm not detail oriented in many ways. And so accepting that and sometimes maybe even saying, I don't actually want to learn how to do the Excel sheet. I will just send it and let someone else input that data or
Yeah.
what, like, depending on what the task is. Sometimes it's really just stepping back and being like, I could learn that. Maybe one day I will. Right now, either my
Yep.
brain's not up for it.
Yep.
There's other things I want to prioritize. There's other things that bring me more joy and pleasure, and I'm just choosing to not learn that. That can feel vulnerable and uncomfortable
Yep.
at times because there's another part that I want to know all the things.
Hmm.
But others, I think just outsourcing, like letting another person do it, but recognizing that it's a choice,
Yep.
that you're choosing to not do it can really help me at least feel empowered. So
Yep.
even professionally, I have chosen to integrate a lot of my billing and my electronic health record system, and I was really strategic in that because I stink at the calendar and the schedule and then remembering to do the billing and the this and the all. And so I made a decision to outsource by doing a whole electronic record system where I have other colleagues that do the spreadsheet and do all and and it works for them and they don't have as high as overhead. I decided it is not in my wheelhouse. I
Yeah.
am not an expert. Things will fall through. I will be mean. I will be grouchy. Oh, I will have these other emotional things that is well worth the slight monetary investment to
Yes.
outsource and let technology do it for me.
Yep.
Not that I can't do it, but
Yep.
that's not my strength.
Yep.
I don't know. Those are some of the big ones for me of
Yep. I would agree. And I will say, okay, so again, um for a year I used Todoist for the little time management app. Um, for a year I used the free version. And like it's great. It does fantastic things. It's very intuitive and it kept me on track. Um, I I made it very user friendly in a way that worked for me. Um, eventually, as I kind of got more into my flow and how I wanted it to work for me, I made a decision that I'm like, okay, you know, knowing. what was in the upgraded version. I was like, okay, yes, not even a big investment, but
Hmm.
I was like, is that investment worth doing for me so that it takes this off my plate or it allows me to do this? And my answer was pretty quickly, yeah. Like I can um I can just talk at my phone after pressing this and say like almost like a Alexa or Siri or whatever else, hey, remind me to do this at this time, but put it on this. And it is automatically set up to send me an email and a push notification so that I'll remember to do it, but I don't have to physically push or touch my phone to be able to do that. That was huge for me.
Hmm.
Um, so spending really not a lot of money to um, have that task more automated for me and more user friendly. The other thing I would say is my family has a lot of shared tasks, calendars, to-do lists, all of those things to where um, like planning, um, planning trips or heck, a grocery list, something like that to where um, like it can just be like a continually like real-time updated thing. And
Hmm.
so, I'll text my husband and be like, hey, planning on putting a grocery order in. Anything that you need to add to that needs to be on the list by, X time. And and like so outsourcing those kinds of things in a way that is like sharing a little bit of that responsibility with
Hmm.
them or um I really think also not unintentionally or subconsciously maybe putting tasks on you because you don't want to burden somebody else. That has been a big one for me.
Yes. So I think like acknowledging on some of these of integrating or utilizing technology or other things, as
Yep.
well as then even that emotional work
Yep.
that goes along with this of saying, hey,
Yep.
is this something that I'm needing or wanting to control?
Yep.
Or is this something that I can give to someone else? Or
Yep.
even what came up to for me as you were talking was even if my brain works in a certain way, I'm also been more and more conscientious of what is the mental load that
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking on. Even if I can, trying to help myself realize what can I offload so I have more space.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I don't drop the ball in other ways, like even unintentionally.
Yep.
Um, and so that habit stacking, task management, or list sharing or app sharing
Yep.
um, are just really helpful and can just kind of give you some more room to take a deep breath, at least for me. And that's
Yeah.
when I decide that it's working. And I love the other point that you said of trying it first, the free version, because that
Mm-hmm.
is something I talk to a lot of clients about is yeah, there is the ADHD tax and it sucks. There's also an option though of really trying a lot of things out and
Mm-hmm.
seeing if it works. And
Yep.
if it doesn't, then by not signing on for something, you don't have that guilt or shame
Yeah.
around it.
Yeah.
So that's another, I love when you brought that up. Like I'm all about trying it first, putting the notification to
Yes.
cancel if you needed to sign up. And I like put it on there a day in advance, make sure to
Yep.
cancel if there was a membership or
Yep.
whatever. But man, giving myself permission to try and then realize this doesn't work for me,
Yeah.
but not judging it.
Yeah.
Like, no big deal. Didn't work.
Well, and now that you go into that, what squirrel? Um, okay, I'm curious as to what you'd say, and I know we are getting low on time, but um, like almost the try before you buy idea. Um, I don't feel like that's out of the question for even um, like almost service sharing with people or like negotiating that into a contract and be like, okay, like let's have a trial period for this and just see how it goes and working that in so that you don't feel or you're not like on the hook and then you reevaluate.
I love that idea. Yeah,
And like not assuming that that's not an option, but putting the question out there of like, hey, I don't know what this is going to look like or how this is going to work, but what do you think about, trying it for, 30, 60 days or something like that, and then like let's reevaluate what this looks like.
100%. Yeah, awesome.
All right. Well, I think that's all we've got for today, but we've got some more juicy topics and questions coming up in a couple weeks. So stay tuned and we will be back with more lovely, exciting, and highly knowledgeable insight.
Sounds awesome. Can't wait.
All right. See you all next time.
Bye.